All right, so we've been cooped up in our houses all winter long, and it's high time we had a vacation. But all our tier credits have been reset, and we might not have the offers we're used to. But our next guest is here to help us out. He's going to help us get out of town. Now, whether it's a dream cruise to the Bahamas or a Las Vegas getaway, independent casino host and Golden Touch Craps instructor Michael Feldman can help turn those vacation dreams into a reality. Michael, welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much, David. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I understand you've had a pretty interesting 48 to 72 hours. So before we get into the show, kind of tell us what's been going on.
Well, if you see these like little things under my eyes, these bags that droop all the way down, my youngest son made a hockey tournament this weekend. So I switched my flight. I usually take the red eye out Sunday night into Monday and switched it for Saturday and got on the plane, sat there for about 5 hours before the flight was finally canceled Saturday night, switched over till Sunday around dinner time, went back to the hotel, came back to the airport Sunday, got on the plane, sat there for 4 hours before they told us the flight was canceled, at which case hell broke loose. Like literally 250 people in front of the little kiosk at the gate. They were rioting. People were getting into fights. They had to call the police. People were being arrested. It was just chaos. They weren't letting people get their luggage off the planes.
Now, this
Um,
this was in Las Vegas on your way back to New York, right?
yeah, yeah. So it was very hectic. So I ended up going back to the hotel and I caught a flight out this morning. But yeah, hectic and
I,
very little sleep. My motto,
just real quick, I'm trying
it's
to monitor some of the comments that are coming through here. Don Wood also, he's already out there saying, "You look surprisingly awake for all that's been going on. You do look like you're awake."
he was out there this weekend with me. So he's
So
a lot of these guys have adapted to the, Michael Feldman Las Vegas sleep cycle.
more power to you guys. I need my sleep. so so let me make sure I got this straight. So you're actually on the plane, and is did you say 5 hours you were sitting on the plane?
I actually fell asleep. I was so tired, I fell asleep before they ever closed the doors. And I woke up, I looked at my watch, it's like 5 hours later. I'm like, wow, we're going to be landing in New York soon. And I kind of peek out the window and we're still sitting on the tarmac. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So the woman sitting next to me said, there's been some issues that you've been sleeping through. So yeah,
So
five
did you
hours.
miss
And
the
then
fight?
no, 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 no. So that was Saturday night, and then they rescheduled the flight for Sunday evening. So we all came back, got on the plane, and same issue. We sat there for almost 4 hours Sunday night on the plane, and then we all got off the plane, and that's when the fight broke out.
Hmm. But
And yeah,
and you finally made it home this morning.
no, I took a 7 o'clock flight out of Vegas this morning that didn't land until New York until I don't know 4:30, I guess,
Wow.
and then rushed to get home because I live about 2 hours from the airport. At which point I had to shower, wake up, you know, make myself look somewhat presentable in front of all my fans out there, and yeah, meet you. So
So, well, first of all, I got to give you a big shout out and thank you for filling in. Tonight we were supposed to have Julian Romero from the Vegas Confessions podcast, but life happens. He had some work commitments that we just couldn't work around. We wanted to do a live show, so we decided to push him back one week. We'll be back next week with Julian, and he's going to be live from Las Vegas. So he's going to be scouting out a good place to set up his camera, that we can actually do a live broadcast from the city itself, and hopefully have some interesting backgrounds that we can show. So Michael, thank you very much for coming in last minute. I really do
of
appreciate it.
course,
All right,
of course, absolutely happy to be
so
here.
before we actually get into the heart of the show, I'm going to talk a little bit about why were you in Vegas this last weekend. Let's touch on that for a minute.
So, as most people know, my main full-time job, I own a flooring business in New York that's incredibly successful. And every year, last week in January, is the flooring convention, which is one of the top, I think, 10 largest conventions in Las Vegas every year. And we didn't go last year because of COVID. So my plan was to go this week, this past week. And it also coincided with one of the Golden Touch seminars. So I made it like a super long week, but knocked them both out at the same time. And then in between, had a whole bunch of clients come out. So it's a little bit of, wining and dining and hanging out with friends and clients and getting in some good playtime as well. But being able to teach the class with Dom and the group and, get with my flooring work done at the same time, and just a good week of multitasking.
Awesome.
Accomplished a lot. I was very pleased.
Well, I'm going to pull in a quick comment from the crew. Hi, Midnight. This is Mr. Pip saying hi from Las Vegas, and Henry also gives his regards. And I wanted to pull that message in to give Mr. Pip a personal hello. It's good to see you again, or good to hear from you. He was my personal instructor when I took the Golden Touch Craps class about 1.5 years ago. So, Mr. Pip, it's good to see you again.
He's a great guy. Hector, Mr. Pip, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
He was with us this weekend. He's a fun guy to hang out with, and great sense of humor. Always makes me laugh.
All right, so we'll come back to Golden Touch Craps here towards the end of the show, but the real reason I asked you on the show tonight is actually twofold. Number one, thank you for being the sponsor of this show. From now and for the foreseeable future, we're going to be doing some advertisements for some of the work that you do as a casino host. So, Michael, thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. And then number two, it's a great opportunity for people to do a Q&A session with you. So, everybody, as you have questions, whether it's travel related, Golden Touch Craps related, or just want to say hi to Michael, be sure to put the comments out there. I'll be selecting some of them and bringing them in, and we can have a little bit of fun in a Q&A session with Michael here in a little while.
So the problem I'm having, which I didn't realize this last time because I wasn't smart enough back in January of last year, but I actually have my phone sitting next to me with the interview up, and I have all of the messages scrolling, and they're coming in so fast I can't keep up with them.
Welcome to my world.
So you have your hands full, so I'm leaving that on you.
So a little bit behind the scenes. Whenever you see this picture, guys, I'm usually scrolling through the comments and questions and trying to find some that we want to bring up on the screen. So I'm trying to multitask and pay attention at the same time. So forgive me if I don't catch everything. Michael's right. These questions and comments, they do come in pretty fast. So we'll do our best. All right. So, Michael, let's start out a little bit talking about independent casino host. What does it mean to be independent?
So I get this question a lot, and I'd like to just kind of explain the difference between the two hosts that are out there, because it's black and white. They're so different from each other. Every casino, or most casinos, have what's known as an in-house host. And that host is an individual who works for that property. And let's just call it Bally's Las Vegas, because Bally's Las Vegas isn't going to be there for too much longer. So the in-house hosts that work for Bally's Las Vegas can only represent that property. They do not make commission. They are a salary-based employee. They do not have to go out and get their own clients. Every morning they come into work, they're handed a sheet of paper, and they say, this is who's on property this weekend, and these are new players who are on property this weekend. Reach out to them, see if there's anything you can need, do whatever you have to do for them. And they're basically limited to that. They're basically limited to doing what the player entitles himself to earn as far as comps. And most casinos, or at least the bigger ones, have an in-house host.
So let me ask a clarifying question real quick. So I think you said that the in-house host works for a property. Does that mean, I'm just going to name one, say Bally's, for instance. Does that mean the host only works for the Bally's property, or is it all El Dorado properties?
No. So in-house host at Bally's Las Vegas only represents Bally's Las Vegas. They can't comp you at Paris, which is next door, or Bally's in another jurisdiction, because it has the same name, all they have the option is to represent, or take care of people on that property. So no, they're very limited in what they could do. As where when you get into the independent host program, I don't work for anybody. I have my own company. Most people don't know the name of it, but it is Concierge Casino Hosting. I am incorporated and I work for myself. So I go out there and I do work with another company called Executive Casino Tours with Amato Galasso. And we go out there and we get the contracts with the properties we want. And the nice part about Caesars is we basically buy the whole package from them. So we could represent all of the Caesars properties nationwide, including the one in Canada. And slowly as El Dorado has been merging with Caesars and rebranding a lot of their properties, we've been taking over those as well. So it gives me the opportunity to offer my clients a much wider range of options as far as places to stay, cities to travel to. It's almost like a one-stop shop. If your main casino, like one of my favorite players out there, he's a celebrity. His name is Hardway Jack. Everybody knows him. His property is in Atlantic City. He likes one particular property and that's it. But if he decides, hey, you know what? I want to go to Kansas City or I want to go to Mississippi or Las Vegas, he doesn't have to go searching for a host down there to help him. He
Mm-hmm.
could call me up and say, Michael, I want to go to Paris, Las Vegas for a week. And you know what? I could take care of him in anything he needs, whether it's, room, getting suites, limos, airfare reimbursement, shows, Hardway. I know you're out there watching, so I don't remember the name of the concert, but there was an impossible concert he wanted tickets to last time he was there, maybe 6 months ago. Little John, maybe? I don't know. I'm sure he'll mention it. I was able to get him tickets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the advantage of an independent host.
Well, really quick here for full disclosure, Michael is my personal independent casino host, and Michael and I have worked together for actually a couple of years now. And I'll echo what he's saying. You've been able to get me rooms in Kansas City and Las Vegas, both. And I think I had another question down here later, but we'll ask about that now. It's not just rooms that you can get. What other things can you get as an independent casino host?
Well, it's funny. There's basically no answer to that. I could get anything you want. And when I say anything you want, I could get you anything you want. And I won't cross any legal bounds. I'm not going to break the law in any way. But I could certainly put you in contact with, people who could get you the things you need to get if that's what you're looking for. But like from my standpoint, it's funny. I was watching the Chiefs-Bills game a couple of weeks ago, and the game was over, and I'm like, wow, this was one of the best endings to any football game I've ever seen. You know what? I want to go to the Kansas City Chiefs game to watch the championship game. So I made a couple of phone calls, and I don't know, I sent you a picture of this was me and my brother at the game last weekend. We were right there, field level in the end zone, 20 rows from the field. It was amazing. One of the best experiences of my life. And yeah, I could get you anything. Now, I'm not the type of person who's going to overpromise and say, oh, yeah, you're a $10 blackjack player. You play 2 hours a day. Yeah, I'll get you box seats to the Super Bowl. Like, I can't do that, and I won't do that. I will always underpromise and overdeliver. That's kind of my motto, but I could get anything.
Yeah, well, two things here, Michael. Number one, you're never allowed to go to another Kansas City playoffs game ever again. Okay? And
the game was locked. I never used that word, David, ever. That game was locked halfway through the first quarter.
Yeah. And then number two, I'm also going to say that I'm about as low roller as you could possibly get. And Michael, you've been able to get me some great deals. If it's not comped completely, I've had $10 nights at Bally's. For I think it was 5 nights, and you got me, and it was average $10 a night. You can't ask for anything better than that. And actually, another thing that I wanted to ask you about is, you seem to be able to get me deals more frequently than I can get from the Caesars app. So the Caesars app would give me, 2 free nights a year or whatever it is. You've been able to do much more than that in the same time period. Is that normal? Am I right on that?
Yes, no. I mean, obviously the casinos want to give out as little comps as they can, right? Every comp they give out is a dollar out of their pocket. But at the same time, for players who are going to come in with the bankroll, they don't mind doing it. So, as an independent host, they allow me to have the ability to kind of play around a little bit, play some games, so to speak, with what I feel somebody's entitled to. And if the person doesn't play the way that they want, if they don't play to the criteria that they want them to, so you know what, I'll just find comps somewhere else from, so we're given a bank of comps, and that bank of comps I could use at my discretion based on who I feel deserves what. And if somebody doesn't necessarily deserve a suite, but I know it's their anniversary and they don't ask me for a lot, they don't ask me for dinners, they don't ask me for suites, but I know that they're going to away for the weekend for their anniversary, I'll give them a suite. And I just, it always works out. It always evens out one way or another. So that's definitely one of the abilities I have as an independent host that in-house do not.
What about transportation, whether it be flights or cars to get around or get from the airport to the casino? Can you do things with that as well?
So there are some cities that are very lenient with giving away flights. Like, I'll be honest, I go to Kansas City. It's kind of my new favorite place to go to. Everybody knows I love crapless craps. They have crapless craps. They have 100-time odds game. The dealers and the pit are the most friendly I've ever seen. They have Gordon Ramsay's, which is my favorite restaurant, and one of the very few that have the A5 Japanese Wagyu, which is another story for another time. But let somebody like Kansas City, I've never paid for a flight for. I've never even had to ask for flight reimbursement. It's okay, I book my flight. When I pull up the list of what the offers are, the first offer is up to $1,200 in flight reimbursement. And that has nothing to do with what level you're on or what, if you're doing a 7 stars trip or a Diamond Elite trip. And obviously, you got to qualify for it. Again, that $10 blackjack player, 2 hours a day, is not going to get $1,200 in free airfare. But Kansas City is a venue that does like to offer free airfare. Now, take somebody like Las Vegas, they're kind of sticklers for it. The only time they're giving away free airfare is if it's your 7 stars retreat or your Diamond Elite trip. So yeah, some places allow it, some people don't, some places don't. But again, a lot has to do with supply and demand, and there's a lot of things that go into the decision making process of whether you're getting airfare or anything else that we could offer.
All right, so let's come back to Kansas City here in just a few minutes. I want to. We're getting a lot of questions that are coming in, and a lot of them are the canned questions that I had for you. So let's go ahead and start a Q&A session. So everybody, if you have a question for Michael, please put it in the comments. I'll try to get to it as fast as I can. And I also have to apologize. They're not going to come out in the sequence that you put them in. My software does something weird with it and jumbles them up. So keep putting them out there. We'll get to them as fast as we can. All right, Michael, you ready for a few questions?
Let's go.
All right, Rhino 808. He is first up. How do we get you as a host?
The little phone number on the bottom of the screen that David is about to post, or email.
I don't have your phone number up there. Sorry, Michael.
Well, maybe we could do that by the end of the interview, because text messages are definitely my easiest way of communication. But yeah, just email me. I need your full name, date of birth, and your Caesars Rewards number, and basically you're now my client. If you're already coded to somebody else, I may have to ask you for an email stating that you want me to represent you as your host, but it's that simple.
Yeah. Okay. Some of these are just going to be comments. Some of your friends out there maybe heckle you, maybe they won't. We'll see what they say. Mark Evangelista, wait,
Friends.
there's a sleep cycle on a Feldman trip? So it
Yeah,
sounds like Mark's familiar
it's
with your schedule.
the sleep cycle starts when I board the plane and ends when we land. So it's typically about it.
Yeah. Our
Thanks,
friend
Mark.
Orvi
Appreciate that.
out there. Special thanks to Michael for getting me a room on very short notice when my flights got canceled in Vegas this week. So maybe talk a little bit about that, Michael. How much lead time do you usually need to be able to get somebody an answer?
It all depends on the um, urgency of the request. Orvi called me up and said my flight was canceled. I think if I remember correctly, I was at dinner, so I want to say it was like maybe 6:30 at night Vegas time, and I think by 8:30 I had a confirmation for him. So when I need to press people for timing, like for urgency, I usually can, but typically 24 hours.
Okay.
If you send me a request at 9 o'clock at night, I'll usually have a few by the end of the day tomorrow, the next day. If it's a reservation for the next day, I could usually get it a little bit quicker. There's not that many people working behind the scenes at Caesars. You think it's this multi $100 billion company and lots of people, and there's really not. And when they get their requests in, they process those requests based on the date of the trip. So people call me up and say, "Oh, I have a trip in June. I submitted a request with you 4 days ago. Why don't I have an answer yet?" Well, because there's 37,000 requests, that need to be fulfilled before, the end of February.
So it comes
So
by the date of the request, not the date the request came in.
correct, it's the date of travel.
Okay. Okay.
So and
Now,
and you know what, with COVID, like everybody's short staffed, including Caesars.
yeah.
Everybody else in this world as well. But yes, just be patient. I never forget about you. I always try to keep in touch with everybody. I've gotten super, super, super busy in the last 6 months. One of the girls who work with me at my regular job, the flooring business, like she'll pick up my phone and say, "Michael, you got like 47 texts." I said, "Are you kidding me? It was at zero like an hour ago." And yeah, I'm just busy, but I'll always get back to you, like as quickly as possible. I'll never forget about you. So
So, um, with a longer lead time, is it possible to get, I don't know, maybe better packages? Does it give you more time to work your magic?
not really. So as far as the suites go, every single night, every single property has a suite committee. And that suite committee sits down with a piece of paper in front of them with all of the suite requests, and they look at how many suites they have available that following night, how many people are requesting a suite, and then they take the top ADT and they go down the list, and the top ADT gets the nicest suites, and so forth and so forth and so forth.
ADT, average daily theoretical, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
And we could
So,
touch base on that in 1 second. But I always, whenever I put in a request for my clients, always put in a suite upgrade request. Always. If you ask me to or not, on my little notes that I send in on my requests, on the bottom, it says requesting suite upgrade. Most of the time you don't get it, but if you go to a casino on a Wednesday night and they're not busy, they'll give it to you. They don't care. If the room's empty,
yeah.
they rather not go to
They want
waste.
you to have a good experience. They want you to
They
come
want
back
you to
and
come
pay for
back.
that suite next time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think most of my clients all know that I do that. But yeah, it's typically, I mean, 24 hours minimum. I like sometimes a little bit longer because I get busy between my two companies and my three kids and my two dogs and my wife and everything else that's
Yeah.
mixed in there.
You're a busy man.
So
Okay, let's come back out here. Kay's out there. She would like to know, can you tell us what airline you were flying?
um, on the off chance that I may kill somebody, I'd rather not say.
Okay.
But it does have a color in it. And it's the only flight I've ever fly from Vegas to New York and vice versa. And I just want to say David, I know you have a couple of kids. I have kids. You're never supposed to say that you have a favorite. Like I have a favorite youngest, I have a favorite middle, I have a favorite oldest, but I don't have a favorite child. I do have a favorite client,
Yeah.
and that favorite client just asked me what flight that was.
Huh.
So special shout
Kay,
out to Rob and Kay.
yeah,
They're
Rob and Kay, you
probably
guys have to feel pretty special with that. That's pretty
they're
awesome.
probably my two of my oldest clients, and I've known them for quite some time. And they're one of those people who I'm not that much of a hugger. I don't really hug people, but even Rob, if anyone knows Rob Revels, he's like a big teddy bear. I don't think I've ever walked into a casino, seen him, and not gone up and given him a hug.
Yeah.
So big shout out to Rob and Kay. You guys are awesome.
Well, that is awesome.
Not that I
Okay.
don't like the rest of the guys
Yeah, I was
out
about to
there,
say,
but
challenge accepted.
yeah.
My turn to become your favorite client. Let's see what we can do. Okay,
Well,
let's keep
based on the
going.
results of this interview, hey, you never know.
Yeah, let's see. Money talks. More questions coming in. John C. asked my favorite question: is a host just for high rollers?
Well, the answer is no. Um, Anybody could have a host. Anybody is entitled to a host. Now, the problem with in-house hosts is they don't really want to be bothered with the lower players because it takes time, right? Somebody who is not a big player calls me up, says, I want a room, I got to put in a request. Then I get back to them with the reservation confirmations, and then maybe there's an issue along the way that has to get addressed. Maybe, they want, tickets to see a show, which takes time to, yeah, it's all time consuming, and
Mhm.
time is money. And for a lot of the in-house hosts, they don't want to deal with players that are under a certain level of play. And I will really almost never disclose commissions to anybody. I don't think even my closest friends know what I make as far as commission goes. But I will tell you that since COVID, Caesars has really tightened their buckle with expenditures, and unless a player puts up 100 ADT per day, I don't make any commission.
So
So
maybe
I could
maybe we
put
should
in.
talk about that real quick. 100
we
ADT per day. What kind of
so
level
eh,
of play does it take to get to 100 ADT?
it's a hard question to answer because different games offer different um, house edges, and your average daily theoretical is your average bet multiplied by the length of time you play, multiplied by the house edge for that game. So let's just say, for argument's sake, somebody who's playing $25 a hand at blackjack for 4 hours versus somebody who's playing $25 a hand at roulette for 4 hours. Like, it's not even close. The theoretical on the roulette play is going to be so much higher because of the house edge.
Okay.
Um, Level of play, I mean, casinos are typically looking for a $50 average bet 4 hours a day. And that's going to get you a room, maybe a small, you know, $25 meal comp. And that type of play will probably earn you about 50 to 60 theoretical. Now, obviously, that same average play at roulette is going to earn you more. But my point being, like, for me, there is no too small of a player. I will always put in the most I can. I will always do the most I can for all of my players, no matter how big, no matter how small. And even if I'm not making a commission on you per se, my hope is that maybe you have an uncle who loves to play blackjack at $25,000 a hand, and if I treat you right, you're going to say, hey, I just got this host, he's awesome, he does this for me, he does that for me, you should give him a call. There's always somebody out there who, you know I, I don't want to sound shallow with what I'm saying, but that's why I always treat my clients equal. I really feel everybody deserves a shot. um, and there's always the chance that I'm going to pick up somebody else through those players.
Yep. Yep.
So
Okay, so let's keep going through here. Don Wood out there. Wow, the truth comes out. I always thought I was your favorite client. So we're getting you here in trouble here.
Yeah. But you know what? If Don was my favorite client, then last night when I got back into town and I was like in tears because all I wanted to do was go home and be with my son at his hockey tournament. And I called him up on the way back from the airport and said, "Hey, I'm heading back to the hotel. Like, we got to go grab dinner or something." And he shot me down. So that's when he stopped being my favorite.
And Kay took over the number one spot. Kay and Rob.
Well, she's always been there.
Yeah.
Rob and
Mark
Kay.
Evangelisto's saying, all heckling aside, Michael is the best host out there. If he isn't your host now, he should be. That is a great endorsement, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Can I throw in a quick story about last night?
Yeah.
So, out of all of my so-called friends that are out there who were still in town, I get back to Paris and Dom Larigio, the Dominator, owner of Golden Touch Craps, aka my boss, he said, "All right, why don't we go out? We'll grab a burger." So we go next door. I'm staying at Paris, so we go next door to Planet Hollywood to Gordon Ramsay Burger, and I had a nice burger. You know, we chatted for a little bit, and he said, "Why don't we walk by and check out the tables? I've never played here." So we go out to the tables, and there's one table. It's open, $25. So the two of us buy in. He goes stick right, I go stick left. He gets the dice. He hadn't shot in all day. For me, it had been hours because I was obviously on the plane for so long. And he gets the dice first, and he .7s out. And I could see him roll his eyes and, mumble something under his breath. But okay. So I get the dice. And I'm like, this is teamwork, Him and I are here as a team, I'll make it happen. So I get the dice. I establish a point, like I check my stance, I check my grip, everything's good, throw the dice, .7 out. So he looks over at me and says, "How did we just do that?" I said, "Well, it's like, when you step into the batting circle for the first time, the batter's box, and, you take that first strike just to see where the ball is coming. Now we're ready to swing the bat." So he gets the dice back, and he shoots a 39. And we
39.
both made a killing on it because, when we're on, we know we're on, and we bet accordingly. So I get the dice, and I said, "You know what? Why don't we just leave? It's late. I'm tired. We're not going to do better than that. You just had a monster hand." Says, "I'll bet you $20 you could beat me." I said, "I'm not going to take that bet. Like, there's no way I'm going to beat you." He said, "Make it 40. I said, "All right, a challenge is a challenge." And I threw a 41. And the two of us walked out of there, me plus $20, me plus $40. And, we were there, the two of us at the same table for an hour and a half, just the two of us. Nobody ever walked up to it.
Oh, wow.
The dice moved quickly, in front of us. The dealers probably dropped, $500-600 in their box. Us, you could add quite a bit of zeros and other numbers to that. And it was a nice way to pick me up after a shitty evening of sitting on a plane. So
yeah,
Dom,
that's
if
awesome.
you're listening, I don't think he is. I think he had a meeting tonight, but it was a fun evening.
Hopefully he can watch this in the replay. Yeah.
I think he said I'll watch it tomorrow.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's amazing. Just Vince Armini, he out there says even the dice dominer PSOs, and I could talk a little bit about that, and I hope I'm not giving away anything, but when I took the Golden Touch Craps class, Dom drilled it into us that if we're not doing the 5 count, even on the Dominator, then he won't play with us. He will just flat out color up, leave the table, and never play with us again. He said everybody can have a bad day, but through the discipline, through practice, and you can show some influence over the dice. And I thought that that's a lot of integrity. I thought from Dom to come out there and say, "Look, I may be the best out there, but I do have some bad runs from time to time. Kudos
Well,
to you,
he
Dom.
doesn't want you. Yeah, he doesn't want you to lose money. I mean, everybody, doesn't have monsters. He doesn't have
Hmm.
monsters every roll. It's no secret. He's not going to be mad at me for saying that. But he's also probably the most consistent person I've ever seen. Where, yeah, he'll throw a PSO every once in a while, and he'll throw a 70 hand every once in a while. But
Yeah.
but the level of, you know, 30s, 40s, and 50s is nothing like I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The consistency with Dominic Larigio is just like it's fascinating to watch him.
Oh yeah.
You
Uh,
know, just
the
just
that
don't.
was the one observation that I really had. Going on, I guess, my own personal story. When I met you guys in Las Vegas for the Golden Touch Craps class, February 2019, right before COVID hit, and it was the night before the class, and I just happened to be walking through the casino, and I saw you standing there with the Dominator, Billy the Kid, and Daryl at a table at one of the casinos. And I bought in down at the end just so I could say I played on a table with the Dominator. I didn't know what I was about to learn. I was just kind of starstruck. But really, what got me was the intensity of Dom. The I mean, talk about blinders. He was watching the dice. Basically he didn't really take his head off that much at all. He was very quiet. He wasn't talking to people. He was just laser focused on a table full of friends. And I thought to myself at that point, that's what team play should be like. Uh, since then, I've been on a table with some friends of mine, and it's always been, we're cutting up, we're having fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're serious about the game, the Dominator really set the stage for what that should look like, and that was seared, into my brain and into my heart. So there.
And just to throw this out there, so we walk up to the table. He's never played at Planet Hollywood before. First time ever. Walk up, he puts his money down with his card. He does not play under an alias. His card says Dom Larigio on it. And the dealer picks up the card. And most of the better dealers will look at your player's card and see your name so they could identify you as your first name while you're playing. I think it's
Mhm.
a nice thing to do. And he looks at the card and says, Dominic Larigio, holy shit, you're Dominator. And Dom, who's not the most modest person in the world, gets all kind of blushy and smirks. And he's like, yeah, that's me. And he's like, oh shit, I get to deal to the Dominator. And I think that just makes Dom focus even more because when you're that good at something, who doesn't like to show off,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, I think I told this story on the last time you had me on your show, but he comes to New York once a month and we drive up to Mohegan Sun together. And you're going back probably 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. We walk into Mohegan Sun. He had never been there before, went and got a player's card for the first time. We walk up to a craps table. He's stick right two, I'm stick right one. We buy in, and the dealer looks at his card and says, "Wow, I know the name. I know the name. I know who you are." So Dom's like, trying to say, yeah, yeah, whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I know who you are. Okay, I know now. I know who I'm playing with. Wow. Okay." So Dom establishes a point of a 4, and the dealer says, I would love to see how good you are, and I would love to see you throw a 4. So I turned to him, and just to kind of like push the button a little bit, I'm like, actually, if you were any good at all, you would make it a hard 4.
Oh,
So, so he's kicking me under the table. Because I mean, it's very hard to not only throw a 4 on demand, but to make it a hard 4. So like he's kicking me because I'm putting pressure on him. So what does he do? He throws a black chip in, pops the hard 4, sets for it, and of course, what does he do? He throws the hard 4.
nice.
So so he won $3,000 just on the hop bet. So on the car on the way back, I said, "You owe me half of that for the bruise you caused me on my ankle. Thank you very much." But yeah, listen, when you put him on the spot like that, he's the man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
All
you
right,
know what?
Michael,
I'm
we've
honored to
strayed a
play with
little
him.
bit
So yeah,
from.
I know. Let's
So
sorry.
we're gonna rapid fire through some of these questions and comments and see if we can clear some of them out. Rhino
Yeah,
808, does it make a difference on what tier the player is at a casino when they go with you as a host?
makes no difference at all. You could be a gold, you could be a three-time 7-star. You know, your play is your play, and you're basing comms not on the level you are, but on the level of play you're using.
Okay.
So, the answer to the question is no.
And a follow up from Rhino 808, is it only Caesars properties that you work with?
So, again, I'm independent. I host what I want. I do have a contract with Caesars, which represents all Caesars properties nationwide and into Canada. Like I said, as Eldorado's been kind of making the transition over, we've been taking over their properties as well. I do also host every cruise line that's out there, from your big ones to your little ones. And the only one I do not do is Disney, because there's no casino aboard Disney.
Okay.
But then I have some other properties out there. Maybe I'll put together a little flyer and get that on social media of all of the other little properties we represent.
Yeah, Michael, let's work together on that. As a sponsor of this show, I want to be able to put that out there as well. So we had a slide from the last time you were on the show, but that was a little bit over a year ago. I don't know if it's changed. Let's work on that, and I'll also put it out
Sure.
on my social media.
And as we were talking about earlier, hopefully one day soon there'll be another big one on that portfolio.
Yep, very good.
So,
Cadillac Jack, he's out there. He says he's been playing a lot at his local Harris. Should that help him in Vegas?
absolutely. Doesn't matter what your local property is. If it's a Caesars property, a Caesars owned property, then comps you own at your local property can get you, comps earned at other properties. Does not matter the jurisdiction.
Okay. All right, Vince Armenti's coming in with a question. He says, back in the 1990s, we used to get casino packages, including flight package, match play, casino trip vouchers sent to our mail. Do they still do that?
Those are called junket trips, and they really don't, especially the casinos themselves. Take somebody like me who, as an independent host, I love junkets. Everybody knows I love junkets. If it was up to me, I'd be doing a junket once a month, if not more. Right now, pre-COVID, I was probably doing, 5, 6 a year. But when I do a junket, and my new favorite place is Kansas City, so I like doing the junkets to Kansas City, they will give all of my clients airfare up front, limo transfers to and from the airport, free play offers, free play vouchers, food is included, even when you go to the gourmet restaurant, so that part is nice. I try to put together these little craps junkets because as a craps player and working for Golden Touch Craps, a lot of my clients are geared towards craps play.
Mm-hmm.
And in Kansas City, they give us a little private room that's off the side of the casino. Most people don't know it's there. And the room is big enough to hold a craps table, maybe 3 or 4 chairs, and a refrigerator. And that's it. And there's like 5 or 6 TVs on the wall. You could plug in your own Bluetooth and put on your own music. And it's us players, the 4 dealers, the boxmen, and that is it. And they would stock the refrigerator with what we want prior to the trip, and anything we want to eat, whether it's from Gordon Ramsay and the A5 Japanese Wagyu at $45 an ounce, or French toast. I mean, there is nothing better than waking up, going downstairs, playing craps, and having French toast sitting on the railing, as you're throwing dice. And they're so lenient and laid back. One of my sons was playing in a baseball tournament, and I wanted to watch the game. It was being aired live. So I actually aired it through my phone, and it's actually sitting on the chip rack with my chips holding it up so I could watch it as we're playing the game. And most of you guys know, you bring a phone anywhere near a craps table, you're going to get yelled at. But these junkets, they just give me so much leeway because they're so happy that we're bringing in these groups that they'll do whatever we want. And, we're doing a couple of cruises this year. I know you and I had discussed about, some of the dates on that. Everybody always asks me, when are you doing a junket to Vegas? When are you doing a junket to Mississippi? The truth of the matter is, it's hard for me timing wise to put these together. But if you guys out there can get me a group of 10 people or more, I could put these junkets together you like that. Wherever you want to go, I could put them together for you.
So that just actually reminded me of one of the questions that I wanted to talk about. I have a friend, Jeremy, from the Color Up YouTube channel. He's putting together a conference, a Dice Con is what he's calling it, here in June. I think it's June 17th through 19th. So whether it's a small conference or a bachelor party or something like that, can you work with groups, or is it just individual? So, I might get a different offer than the next guy that's going to the same event. What can you tell us about groups?
So again, it all comes down to level of play, right? I mean, somebody who has a $25,000 bankroll and is willing to use it versus somebody who has a $500 bankroll, the level of play is not going to be the same. So the level of comp is not going to be the same. But again, I will always shoot for the stars. Even on that $500 bankroll person, I'm going to request the suite. I'm going to request the limo transfers, especially if you have a group of people going. It makes it a lot easier because you get 6 people coming in within an hour of each other on a plane. So easy to say, hey, like Harris, you need to go pick them up and bring them back to the hotel. If so yes, it's definitely easier to do it as groups. And
Okay.
Jeremy, I know Jeremy is a friend of yours, and he had called me up and said you had recommended that he speak to me, and thank you, David, for that. He's putting together a really nice group of what looks like is going to be several hundred players, and we're doing everything from limo transfers to and from the airports, shows, special restaurants, little events of things to do. Like a whole bunch of people want to go out and see the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, which I think I'm up to 63 times in Vegas. I've never seen it.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, I'm kind of one track focused when I'm there.
You
I don't have
have
time to
bigger
enjoy
things to do. Better.
that. So I'm now working with a limousine company who has a fleet of, 10 stretches, 6 SUVs, and a party bus, and I'm working with them on special rates to get all several hundred people picked up to and from the airports. And, anybody who wants to go see the Las Vegas sign, well, we're going to get the bus, and maybe it's going to cost $10 a person, but it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than Ubering it out there.
Yeah.
And you're now in a bus with a bunch of people who are all going for the same purpose. So it's going to be a lot more enjoyable. So yes, Jeremy, myself, and I've actually hired somebody else to work with me to coordinate this entire trip, because I think it is going to be very big for Jeremy. And hopefully it's going to be the beginning of something he's going to do on a more frequent basis, which I think will be good for him. So yeah, definitely. Anybody out there, anytime you want, you get me a group of 10 people. I will set you up with whatever you need, whatever you want, private tables. Definitely.
Okay. That's great. We couldn't ask for anything better than that, to be honest with you. Just somebody to help coordinate, get some sort of discount, make it a little bit easier for us to get out there, spend some time with our friends, and just have a good Vegas getaway. That's fantastic.
The
All
other
right, these.
thing I just wanted to mention really quickly, as far as comping goes, is I'm gonna kind of like use you for a moment, David. I hope you don't mind.
Sure.
But let's say you are a $50 player and you play for 4 hours a day. You have a theoretical of 125 for the day, and maybe that entitles you to $50 a day in comps. And you're in Vegas for 5 days. So you are entitled to $250 in comps. And let's say you charge to your room a couple of dinners, maybe a show ticket, entrance to the high roller Ferris wheel, and you check out and your room is $683. They take that $250 off. You're now stuck paying this bill. An in-house host isn't going to be able to do anything for you because you've earned comps and they've applied those comps to your bill, and there's nothing else they could do. But what I can do is I could go back and look at your play and say, okay, well, this is his play based on this trip, but look at the play based on his last trip, and if you average the two out, instead of having a 125 Theo, he should have a 300 Theo. So you know what? I'm going to pick up the rest of these charges. And hopefully next time he's going to kick it up a little bit. Maybe he wasn't feeling well this trip. Maybe, he went to see his, mom who he hasn't seen in a year. Who knows? So that's another reason why booking through an independent host has its advantages. It's because I could pick up play based on what your play is or potentially could be at the end of a trip.
Yeah, that was actually one of the questions, and I was trying to scroll through it really fast to see who asked it, and I apologize, I can't find it on the fly, but I think that's important to note. At the end of the trip, you may still be able to do something even above and beyond what you already did for them. So I'm hearing that correctly? So at the end of the trip, do they need to contact you, or do you what?
I tell any client of mine who charges anything to the room, when you go to check out, you check the TV, you check your portfolio or folio, and if it says 0, great, check out, leave. If it has a balance on it, do not check out. Shoot me a text and say, Michael, I'm ready to check out. There's $372 left on my room bill. Please see what you could do. And I'll make a phone call. I will check you out. And if I can pick up the room charges, great. If I can't, I can't. You're expecting it to go on your credit card anyway. If you rather use reward credits, I can always use reward credits to pay it off. But I always have the ability, and I'm usually pretty successful in getting, if not all, but at least some of those charges picked up. So definitely, whenever there's a room bill left, text me.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So I learned something new. I thought that your offer is your offer, and take it and enjoy it. But based on your play, you might be able to get a little bit of extra bonus there at the end. So it's important that people charge their meals to their rooms, whatever they're doing, try to charge it to that room. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it can lead to extra benefits.
Absolutely. And you know what? If you go to a restaurant and dinner's $250 and you're taking out your credit card to pay for that $250 bill, you have every expectation of paying it. But if you charge it to your room and I'm not able to do anything, you're still paying the $250.
Yeah.
But on the off chance that I could, take off half of it, well, I just saved you $125. Awesome. So always in the best interest to contact me at the end of a trip.
Okay. All right, Michael, let's go back to some of the Q&As. Let's see here. Mel Lumho, my friend Mel from Craps Hawaii, has started flying to Kansas City. Yeah, Mel, you need to come to Kansas City and see us sometime. Tyler is asking, what is the No Sevens contest like at a GTC class?
If that's Tyler from Tyler and Joe, Tyler, please apologize to Joe for me. So the No Sevens contest is great. Each instructor has their own group of 4 or 5 students that we work with throughout the weekend, and our group goes to all of the other instructors throughout the weekend. So you're kind of getting instruction from all of the different instructors, but at the end of the weekend, that is our group. And at the end of the weekend, we have the No Sevens contest. So I now have 5 people in my group. I need to qualify down to 1 person to enter the No Sevens contest. And as the instructor, you could do it however you want. And I'll usually do like a box number only contest, or, sometimes I like to do target shooting. I think it's a little more fun. And once you qualify, once I get a qualifying person, they go on to the final round. And now it's 1 person from all of the groups, which is it's usually like 8, 9, sometimes 10 groups of people in the class, and we have a No Sevens contest. and each person throws the dice till they hit a 7. And if you throw 7 on the first roll, that's 1. If you throw 25 numbers and hit a 7, that's 25. We go through twice. The winner gets a nice chunk of money from Dom and the rest of the class that we play a little game in the beginning that everybody puts some money up, and everybody thinks that Dom's pocketing the money, but it doesn't. It goes to the winner of the No Sevens contest, and Dom will usually actually double it. And a nice big plaque that you could hang on your wall that says, I am a degenerate gambler because I won the Golden Touch Craps No Sevens contest.
Nice. Yeah, I wish I'd have won that.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Michael.
So
we're already an hour into the show, and I know you're tired.
Are we really?
I've got 27 people out there with questions that I've already captured. So I'm going to ask you to go through these really fast.
Rapid fire it. Let's go.
Try to keep them as short and distinct as we can. Really quick, talk about Boyd properties. Can you do you have anything working with Boyd?
No, and I don't particularly like them. They're not particularly great with comps.
Okay.
I try to stay away from them. So, but honestly, I don't have that much familiarity with them. So, yeah.
Okay.
No.
Michael Dorney says, Michael is the best host ever. He's also my best friend. I highly recommend him, and I'm not saying that because we're best friends. So another testimonial. You've got some fans out there, Michael.
I've actually known Michael since grade school. So that's how far we go back.
Let's see here. Color Up has posted a question. I'm going to actually save, Jeremy, I'm going to save your question for a few minutes, and we'll come back to it. Carrie Coda saying, hello, Michael. Carrie is one of the first people from Golden Touch Craps that I personally met, and she was the one that actually talked me into taking the GTC class. So Carrie, it's good to have you on the show.
She's a Vegas local, so I try to see her every time I get out there. And Carrie and I are good friends. I've known her for years. And there's always pictures floating around on Facebook when I'm out in Vegas of me and my friends, my fans, whatever you want to call them, my clients. But Carrie's definitely one of them. And, there's always like hugging going on, and my wife says to me one day, like, who the hell's this chick who's like all over you all of the time? And I said, you know what? I'm going to introduce you to her because Debbie and I went to Vegas the first time since, right after we graduated college 2 weeks ago. And we were supposed to have lunch with Carrie, but she couldn't make it. But yeah, Carrie's great. She's awesome. I got to see her a few times this weekend.
She is one of my favorite Vegas locals. Yeah, hands down, favorite Vegas local. All right, Steve Coletta saying, are you still planning on teaching Golden Touch Craps in your spare time?
I don't teach Golden Touch Craps in my spare time. I've taught one class outside of Golden Touch Craps in my entire life. And actually, could you throw that photo up? The one that we were discussing. So wait, before you put this up, if Dom is watching,
too late.
This is the only time I've ever taught a Golden Touch class. And that's, my nephew and a couple of my sons are there. One of them's missing, a couple of other nephews, one of my cousins. So yeah, I do not teach dice control in my private time. If you want me as an instructor, it goes through Golden Touch.
Yeah, that's the future of Golden Touch Craps we're looking at right there. I love
that's
it.
my
I love that
team
picture
right there.
Yeah. Okay, keep on going. Michael Durney, what about Connecticut casinos? When will you be in there?
I was actually trying to make a trip there tomorrow, but I don't know if that's going to work out. I go there all the time. Mohegan Sun is definitely my favorite. I do not represent them. I am not licensed in Connecticut. To get a Connecticut gaming license is impossible. I've been working on it for 2 years, and for whatever reason, they're just tough. But one day, eventually, I will get it, and I do have a connect with Mohegan Sun. So once I get approved, they will definitely be underneath my belt.
Awesome. I'm trying to pick and choose some of these because there's some of that I would like for you to go in a little bit more detail. So we're trying to get through some of the faster ones. Direct Page saying that was Sting. Great seats, by the way. So I think that might be
Sting.
The friend that we were talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
Sam I Am is saying, thoughts on Bally's becoming Binion's Horseshoe? Is that going to change anything?
Love it. Yes. I think Bally's, not to, step on anyone's toes or insult anyone, but I think Bally's is known to be geared towards the lower end gambler.
Mhm.
It always has been all around our country, Atlantic City, especially Vegas also, even with the bizarre shops that they built a few years ago. Like you walk through Bally's, it's kind of a hole in the wall. And I think Horseshoe has a great brand. I think Binion was one of the best, you know, gamblers, gambling casino hall owners out there. Like I wish I ever got a chance to meet him. Like talk about a fascinating person.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's going to do a lot for that whole little corner. So you're now going to have Planet Hollywood, Paris, Horseshoe, Cromwell, Link, Flamingo Link, Caesars across the street, Bellagio across the street. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great brand for that corner.
Yeah, you know what's going to be interesting is it's still going to be an Eldorado owned property.
Mhm.
So, the stories of the Horseshoe, taking bets, any kind of bets, and really being a player's casino. It'll be interesting to see if they live up to that name or if the corporate standards are going to hold them back a little bit. Um, I can say that. You can't say that. I know. But it's going to be interesting to watch and see what happens as they rebrand
I
as the Horseshoe.
I will tell you when Jack no longer was, current owner of the property, there was no longer the "we'll take any bet you want."
Yeah, that's
That
true.
was that was only when he was, there in the house watching the game with his own eyes. Once his son took over, things changed, and then once it became a corporation, and bigger corporations took over smaller corporations, things have changed.
Yeah. Well, that's how
So,
a brand is built, though. He didn't have to do that for every gambler, but he did it enough that it built a reputation. So,
of course.
like I said, it's just going to be interesting to see the rebrand and I guess how it's perceived. So,
I don't
looking
know,
forward to it.
really, really quickly, because I know it's getting up there in time, but not many people know this. But Jack Binion comes down to the Horseshoe on the floor one day, and it was a Saturday night. The place is packed, and he says, "Everybody, everybody, I want to make an announcement. Lower your voices." Jack Binion's standing in the middle of the floor. It is dead silent. He says, starting now for the next 60 minutes, there are no sevens at the craps tables.
Oh
Anybody who
wow,
throws a seven gets to rethrow the dice for 60 minutes. Could
that's
you
awesome.
imagine if
When
that
was
happened
this?
today?
I mean, it had
Oh my God.
to be
Yeah,
quite a while
like you
ago.
got to be going back probably in the 60s would be my guess.
Yeah,
I don't,
that's
I don't know when.
amazing. That,
But
that's
like if that
amazing.
happened this weekend at Paris with the GTC crew in town,
Yeah.
it would no longer be called Paris. It would be called GTC Partnership, you know. But you know what? That's why he was the best.
All
So,
right. All right, Michael, let's get back to some of these here real quick. Bill Stanton saying, thanks for being an awesome host. Earlier, you posted about a summer New York City to Halifax cruise. Is that still in the works?
yes, it is. So, unfortunately, after all of my planning, it came to my attention that they do not do New England cruises in the summertime.
Ooh,
So, right now, it is, I'll tell you the dates. It's going to depart New York on September 4th. It's going to depart Manhattan on September 4th. We're going to go up the eastern seaboard, Nova Scotia, Halifax, hit a couple of parts of Maine, Martha's Vineyard, come back on September 11th.
okay.
So that should be a nice little trip.
Excellent.
Also, I think most people know about my April 10th cruise out of New York as well. And I have a couple of others in the works. I really like to get a few cruises on the books this year.
Yep. So your April cruise to Bermuda, that will be a featured spot in the show going forward. I don't actually have the video up here because we kind of did a last minute change, but that is the sponsored part of the upcoming shows. So stay tuned for future shows. You'll see that promotion coming out. Kay's asking the question: can you represent M Life or MGM or both?
So M Life and MGM are the same. They're very difficult about being representatives of both Caesars and M Life because they're the two biggest competitors in the casino market, in the casino industry. I can do it. There's a lot of hoops that have to be jumped through in order to make that happen. I've been trying to. There's a lot of like tedious work involved to get there. I've been talking to my boss over at Executive Casino Tours about making that work, and it's something we have been talking about. Will it come to fruition sometime soon? Probably not, but definitely something that's on the burner.
Okay. Next question, Joe from Craps Master Journey. How does the host get paid?
So I get paid based on what we discussed earlier, your average daily theoretical, and your ADT is what your value is to the casino. Every time you step foot in the door, that's what you're expected to lose. Whether you win, lose, immaterial. If you have an ADT of 500 and you win $1 million, they could care less, because over the course of your lifetime, over the course of their lifetime, over the course of infinity, you as a player, you're expected to lose $500 every time you walk into the casino. I get paid a commission based on daily theoretical. A lot of people are under the assumption that casino hosts get paid on your losses. I do not. Okay. And in fact, opposite, I want you to win, because the more you win, what's going to happen? The more time you're going to put in at the table. Most likely, the higher the bet you're going to make. Most people don't have the same bet. No offense to your little, you win a hand at blackjack, you're probably going to bump it up a little bit. You win a second hand, you bump it up. Third hand, bump it up. And that's how your average bet gets higher and higher, especially in craps, when you have so many different bets and so many ways of winning bets. So I want you to win, hands down, 100%. And any one of my clients who I've booked, first thing I do when they, respond to me at the end of the weekend is I say, how'd you do? And whenever I send them a confirmation on a future reservation, here's your reservation. You have all nights comped. Kick ass.
Yeah.
I want you to win. The more you win, the more your theoretical, the higher my commission is, which gets paid directly from the casino.
And my friend G-Dub from Texas has a follow-up question to that. He says, if you ask the craps box what they rated you, is that the same as your ADT?
No. So they're going to tell you what your rated play is. So they're going to say, I have you down at 2 hours and 12 minutes at an average bet of $172. But it's more complicated than that, because if you're placing the 6 and 8 for $25 each versus putting a $25 bet on the hard 6 and hard 8, your average bet on the 4 bets is still $25. Or $100 total, but the rating is different because the house edge is higher on a. So this is where I'm getting tired. I can't think. The house edge is higher on a proposition bet than it is on a place bet, right? Or higher even, on a place bet than it is on a come bet with odds. So they're giving you just your average bet and the length of time you play, and then once it goes into the computer, it then gets calculated what your theoretical is.
Okay.
So I hope that answers the question.
I think it did.
Convoluted.
Yeah. So we have another ADT question coming in. Again, Mel from Craps Away. Do you get your ADT play from what we did at properties, or just from play at the hotel you booked us at?
No. So I get, if I book you at Paris, Las Vegas, and I refer to Paris a lot because that's where I always stay. No, any property you play in throughout Las Vegas is going to get attached onto your portfolio for that weekend, for that trip. So no, you could play at any property. You could stay for 5 days at Paris, never play once at Paris. If you put up a 3,000 theoretical, that goes towards your trip.
But it has to be at another Eldorado Properties. In that
Eldorado
example.
Caesar's property, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can't go play at Bellagio and then get comped by
right.
Caesars.
So if you're splitting your play around town, it's probably to your benefit to keep it within the same company.
Yes, and just because of who asked that question, I would love for you guys to shoot me an email. I actually had a long conversation with Kerry about you guys and would love to talk to you in person or via email. So please reach out to me one of these days if you can.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and
sorry for the solicitation there.
yeah, no, that's quite all right. Mel is actually a very good friend of mine. We talk just about on a daily basis, so I can help get you guys connected. In fact, Mel comes up with another question. He was the one that asked before. Would we know if the room is comped before we arrived, or at least know the cost of the room, and maybe comped after seeing play? So this has kind of been asked and answered earlier that both. You're going to know what kind of benefit that you get before you get there, and when it's time to check out, do a quick check in with you to see if there's any way to
Absolutely.
boost those comps up just a little bit.
Absolutely.
Um,
So every one of my clients, I'm going to send you a text message, and the text message is going to have your check-in day, your check-out day, the property, the confirmation number, and your rates. And it'll say, 5 nights comped or 3 nights comped, one night 99, one night 149. So you'll know up front what the max you're going to pay is for that room. And then at any time during your trip, you could always call me up and say, hey, can you check my play and see if I qualify to have it comped and I'll give you another little secret. Um, One of the ways we comp is based on loss. So if you have a player who puts up a pretty big loss, but doesn't necessarily put in a lot of time, we're going to comp 30% based on that loss.
oh wow.
So you could kind of figure out for yourself basically where you're going to be as far as comps go. So let's say you lose $10,000 and you know that you're getting a 30% comp base off that 30 over that $10,000. So that's $3,000. They will take off the comps that they previously gave you for that trip. So, your comped room, your reduced room rates. So that comes off of the top, but then you'll have an idea as to what's still available for you to use.
Okay. Okay.
Or call me
Uh,
because it's complicated and I can always
yeah,
just
I was
look for
about to
you.
say you kind of lost me there for a second, but that's why you're the host. We just have to give you the details.
That's it. I'll take care of
All
it.
right. Ted Berry's asking a question. For a private table, is there a limit that's required to bring to a table and that you must play?
I was just reading the rest of it.
Yeah, it kind of
Um,
cuts it off.
so I'm big into private tables. I love them. As a craps player, I think they're one of the most fun things ever. You have 10 guys around a craps table or girls. You're all friends. You're all rooting for the same thing. And there's always a lot of heckling going on and just the camaraderie. I love private tables. But with that being said, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Um, is there a minimum? So
No,
what kind
yes,
of
minimum.
standards do you need to get onto a private
So
table?
So it depends on the venue. If I do a private table in Atlantic City, often it's like a $3,000 buy-in for an 8-hour play. It's usually a $25 minimum bet. Sometimes they'll require a $100 average bet. And on a $25 table, if you do 110 inside, 25 on the 5 and 9, 30 on the 6 and 8, well, there's your $100 average bet. So it's not hard to meet the requirements on average bets on a craps table. There are some places that do require a larger buy-in, but they're more concerned with what's available, not with what you're buying in with. So, for example, Kansas City, and I'm definitely running more Kansas City trips this year because I just love it so much. They require to get into the private gaming room, they require a $10,000 not buy-in, but available credit line. And that could be you fill out a credit line with the casino for $10,000. It's active. They know that it's there for you. Or you could send in a certified check. They take that certified check, they post it onto your account. When you get there, you could cash it, withdraw the full $10,000, put $8,000 in your safe in your room upstairs, and use $2,000 to play. You don't have to use $10,000. They just want to know that you have it and it's available for you if you choose to play it.
Yeah. Okay. Um, we've got about 10 more questions in here so far. Kevin M. My Caesars play has dwindled since COVID. Does playing minimally at my local Harrah's affect my overall theoretical for a Vegas trip comp? Also, thanks for booking New Orleans, Vegas, and Biloxi.
Um,
Yeah,
Listen,
so
Caesars is go on.
I was going to say, I've had some conversations with pit bosses, basically with Caesar's properties, and they've kind of said that if you play a minimal amount, or if you come in and do a quick turnaround, that actually does hurt you a little bit. Uh, Length of time and dollar amount is important in the average daily theoretical. That's my
Well,
understanding.
well, it is absolutely, and I'll tell you this: for the people who play with me know what my average bets are. It's no secret to them. I hope that was a dog. For people who don't particularly know me, I'm not gonna say numbers, but I was in Kansas City this past weekend for the game with my brother. I did a little bit of playing, and I went to play blackjack one morning because I was just tired and didn't want to play craps. So I sit down, I buy in for $1,000, and I start out with a $50 bet. And the pit boss comes over and says, "Let me have your card, I'll rate you." And I said, "Nah, I'd rather not be rated." She said, "Why not?" I said, "Well, because I don't want to bring my average down." She said, "You're betting $50 a hand. Like, that's big. You want to be rated at $50 a hand." I said, "No, I really don't. Like, trust me, I know what I'm doing. I don't want to turn my card in." So she said, "Okay." So I played for like an hour. And afterwards, when I called it up, she came over to me and said, I don't understand. Like, why would you do that? And I said, "Well, because I'm here for 48 hours. And if I'm putting up a $2,000 average bet on a craps table, for 18 hours in 48 hours of being here, and then I come put up an average bet of $50 for 1 hour, that's going to crush my average, and I don't want that to happen." So yes, you got to be careful with if you play big on one game and little on another game, not to combine the two because it will hurt you unless it's tables versus slots.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Those are just two different ball games.
Yeah. Let's see here. Rhino 808 is asking, can we piggyback comps we get from that casino? Say if I have 3 days room comped and staying for 7 days, can I use the other 4 days be comped? Um,
I kind of get what he's saying. So Caesars has a policy where they will only comp 5 days up front. I have players who deserve 365 days a year comped, and they won't get it because their policy is 5 days comped, 2 days in between trips. But with that being said, and I do this to myself. I've gone to Vegas for 9 days. I get 5 nights comped. I get 4 nights at best casino rate. It just gets attached to my room bill. And then I know with the way I play that at the end of the
yeah.
trip, those 4 nights are going to get wiped off. And if they don't, I'm going to call up the local, person in Paris and say, "Fix this or else I'm not coming back." And rest assured they will.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yes, you can kind of like piggyback that in a way.
All right. The next one comes from Ace. He says, I only get to Vegas twice a year, and Arizona didn't have craps before now. I was never able to advance in the tier levels. Would an independent host be able to help with Arizona Indian casinos? Let's say Arizona or
No,
Oklahoma or Florida. We've got tribal casinos all over the United States now.
I know. Unfortunately, not. They go off of their own gaming rules. They have their own gaming division. So, like any property in Las Vegas that's not and actually, I don't think in Nevada there are Indian-based casinos. I'm not sure. I
There,
wouldn't swear to that.
there's about to be. The Palms was bought by, a tribe out of California. I can't remember which one it was. Um, and the Seminoles, aren't they going to be?
Yeah, but I think they're buying it as a corporation, not as an Indian tribe. So therefore, they still have to follow the guidelines of the NGC.
Okay.
Um, but like in California, where the only casinos are Indian casinos, or Connecticut, there's only Indian casinos. They follow completely different guidelines. So
Okay.
no, one doesn't really have much to do with the other. What I can say is this: if you play predominantly at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, which is an Indian-based casino, and you're a decent player and you have a casino host, and you want to go to Caesars in Las Vegas, you've never been there before. Caesars doesn't know who you are. They don't know what kind of play you are. That's where I come in. You call me up, you tell me what you're looking for, you give me your Mohegan Sun players card number, you give me, if you work with an independent host, they're great. If not, then I could call up player development. I could see what your last 5 trips were, what your ADT was, and what your average bet was. And then I could go to Caesars and say, hey, I have this guy. He's a new player. He stays for 3 nights, puts up a 2,200 ADT. He has, free suites, free limos, and $1,500 in free play. We need to match it. And they usually will.
Okay. So at least your play at the tribal casinos can parlay into something in Vegas. Probably
Yes,
the best
but
way to put that.
it has to go through a host, through one
Okay.
way or another. Just, again,
So,
complicated, but
all right. Nobody wants to heckle you tonight. I don't get
and
this. You've got a fan base out there. Dan Lewis out
you
there, our
know,
friend Dan. He says we love you, Michael.
well, I want to make a shout out to Dan, who's had the roughest year
Yeah.
imaginable. 4 years ago, him and I were in Atlantic City. We put together a group of guys for a private table. It was supposed to be, I think, 12 of us. I think something like 60 people ended up showing up. It was like out of control. There were so many people. And while we were there, Dan said, you know what, let's start a messenger group called Atlantic City Shooters. And anybody who's here in town for the weekend could join the group. And it's just a way to communicate because, 60 people via text message on one group, it's a lot. So Dan and I started this group and it's blown up. I can't even tell you. I don't know. I don't know how many people are on this private group of ours. It's insane.
A
So
lot.
anybody who wants to join us, you have to be qualified through me and Dan and I. But Dan's gone through a hell of a year, health wise. And, I think he's doing better. And I just want to say, Dan, like, we love you. All of
Yeah.
us, every one of us, we love you. You're a brother, and I'm glad you're finally feeling better.
All right. We're down to just a few left. Let's see here. Some of these require a little bit more thought to them. What is the level of play that makes sense for having a casino host? Well, I can tell you, I'm a low bettor. I think my $50 ADT is probably being generous, and you've been able to work some things for me. Maybe not the best comps in the world, but better than I could get on my own. So it doesn't require a lot, but obviously the higher player you are, the better offers you're going to get.
I just noticed one of the comments, and I just want to quickly touch on it. Somebody asked if Mohegan Sun is now in Las Vegas. Mohegan Sun is not in Las Vegas. The old Hard Rock Casino was bought by Virgin Atlantic, Virgin America. I don't know, whatever the
Hmm.
airline is, the super rich guy. And he was not able to get a gaming license in Vegas as quickly as he wanted. He hired Mohegan Sun, who has a management company who came out and manages the property, as well as Mohegan Sun manages Resorts Casino in Atlantic City. So there's no ownership involved, but there is management. And
Okay.
I believe it's funny, I wanted to get there this weekend and I didn't get a chance to. I believe if you have points in Mohegan Sun, you can use it at the new Virgin property.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah, I just saw that, so I just wanted to
Okay.
answer that
DJB
question.
Thunder asks a really good question. Do we still have to pay resort fees if we book with you?
So I have no control over that because resort fees are actually tied into taxes, which is tied into the state. If you are a diamond player or higher, you do not pay resort fees or taxes. If you're not a diamond player, unfortunately, you do pay resort fees and taxes, and nobody could do anything about that.
Okay. So really
Sorry.
quick. No, I understand that. So Richard, I'm going to get to that. So hold your thought, Richard. We'll get to your comment here in just a minute. James McComas, I love this. When the gambler is ready, the host will appear. So everybody, you see Michael's email down there, mfeldmancasinohost@gmail.com. We're going to switch that over to his phone number here before too long. But yeah, when you're ready, he'll be there.
And I'll tell you guys, I'm not a solicitor. I'm not going to go out and hustle your business. You guys want me as a host? Come and get me. I'm not modest. I'm good at what I do. I think, from what people have said.
I'll solicit for you. And so
go ahead. I'll sit back.
And I've got to be one of the best testimonials, at least for somebody who probably doesn't deserve a host. It was just a text message to you, and then lo and behold, you got me like, I don't know, it was a 3-day weekend in Kansas City, totally comped. It was totally free. That was based on my wife and I's play, and I think I saw a comment come in here a few minutes ago about, husband and wives can comp together, piggybacking comps, but
yes.
It cost me nothing but a few minutes of time to send you a text message, say, hey, can you do anything for me? Then wait for a day or two, and boom, you came back with the magic. Nothing. I paid nothing, guys. And since then, I've had a great relationship with Michael. He's been able to get me rooms in Kansas City, in Las Vegas. One of the things that we really wanted to talk about, and I'm sorry we're going so long, is cruises. So that's a big thing that's coming out. We talked about Colorado. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to make that work. Eldorado was just purchasing those, or I don't know what the right word is. Before you weren't set up to do Colorado before I went last time. So there's many locations around the country. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. Give him a call, send him a text message, send him an email, and just see what he can do. That's all I ask. All right. It's okay. It was John, or was it Jeremy with Color Up? Does Michael ever work with cruise ships? So we probably need, I know we're going really late, but we probably need to spend a few minutes talking about cruise ships and what can you do with cruises?
So things have been tough since COVID. I mean, COVID has destroyed the gaming industry from one level to the next, including cruises. People said that cruises were a petri dish for infections before COVID. You can imagine what it's like now. Still, cruises are canceling their trips left and right. Norwegian just announced that they were canceling a whole bunch of cruises through April. So because there's so fewer cruises being run, they're a little bit tighter on their comps. But same thing, most of my clients, I could get definitely free inside staterooms. Most of the time, free outside staterooms. Sometimes if you want a balcony, it is an upcharge. But if you're taking a 7-day cruise, to pay $100 to upgrade to have a balcony, I think it's a no-brainer to me. What you're typically paying for is port fees and charges. So I love the 5-day cruise from New York to Bermuda and back. It's one port fee because you're only stopping in one port. This cruise in April, there's going to be 2 port fees because we're making a quick stop in Virginia Beach. But when we go up to Canada, I think there's going to be 5 or 6 port fees. So it gets a little bit pricier with the more stops you actually make. But if I could get the room for free, the balcony room for free, plus I could get Wi-Fi and drink package and all these other little things that typically add up so much. You're spending a week on the water on a cruise for $500-$600 for 2 people. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So cruises are definitely a big thing, and whether your vacation dreams are to spend some time in the seas and the beach and these exotic locations, or a weekend in Vegas or a weekend in Atlantic City, Michael's still the man. He's the one to call, and he can make it happen for you. All right.
And I just want to throw out that on my last cruise, I had a client who we were out by the pool. I don't know if she's on here or not watching. I was kind of like looking for her, but so I'm sitting in the jacuzzi with 25 people. and they were doing like this 80s rock music, sing along. And all of a sudden, I look out, she's sitting on one of the lounge chairs, and she's like clutching her chest, and she just didn't look right. So I'm watching, and it turns out she's allergic to bees, and she got bit by a bee on the cruise in the middle of the ocean. And I like jumped out of the cruise, out of the jacuzzi, jumped over the railing, ran over to her, rummaged through her bag, got her EpiPen, shot her with the EpiPen, and saved her life.
Oh, wow.
So if she's on here, like, I would love for her to say, "Hey, Michael, thanks for saving my life. You are the best host ever." But so I do everything.
Not only do you get us great deals, you save our lives
clients.
too.
Exactly. So,
all right, guys, we've got about 3 more questions, and then we're going to wrap this up. Greg C., I've been holding on to your question for quite a while. Does Michael have a relationship with the Circa, the D, or any place downtown?
It's a loaded question. So anybody who knows of the owner of those properties, Mr. Derek Stevens, does not offer the independent host program. He is strictly an in-house host company. I have a very, very big connection through a very good friend of mine with him. And I was supposed to meet with him this past week for lunch one day, and it ended up falling through. I did do a walkthrough of the property, which anyone who's been there, it's amazing. Anybody who wants, they could shoot me a text, and I have some cool behind the scene videos that I took myself with my iPhone of the pool deck. And I am working on trying to get my foot in the door with Derek. I'm hoping to maybe fly out again next week or the week after to meet with him and sit down face to face. So hopefully, if all goes well, I will rep those 3 properties. It may just be a trial basis since he's never been in the independent host program before, but I don't know. I'll keep you posted. Fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I would love to see something downtown. I've not stayed down there yet because I just haven't had the good comps there. I haven't had a good reason to go down there yet. But I would love to see that experience. I'd love to try that downtown experience.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of changes in Vegas in the next 10 years. And I think downtown, Circa being built and opened, and as absolutely stunning as it is, I mean, it's gorgeous from every aspect of it. I think it's going to force a lot of the other properties to step up their game.
Yep.
You also have a lot of new stuff kind of going on the Strip. I mean, you have Fontainebleau is going to be opening up next year after a almost 20-year hiatus.
Yeah.
Rio, we're not exactly sure what yet, but it looks like that's going to be knocked down and something put up in its place. The rebranding of Bally's to the Horseshoe. So there's going to be a lot going
Mirage
on
to
in
Hard
the next several
Rock.
year. Yeah.
Resorts World.
Resorts World,
lots of
gorgeous.
changes.
Gorgeous. I was in there 2 weeks ago when my wife came out to Vegas with me, and absolutely gorgeous hotel. So yeah.
Okay,
Stay
Michael,
tuned for a lot of new
two
stuff.
more questions. John C., he's been waiting for me to ask this one. What are a few of the most memorable highlights you've had as your career as an instructor?
Oh my goodness. Do I have to limit it to just a couple? I mean,
In
come
the
on, I
interest
play
of
with
time.
the Dominator on a daily basis. I need another whole show to go through some of those. Honestly, it's a great group of people that I work with. I can name every one of them if I must, but it's like my family away from my family. I mean, I have a group thread on my phone that's constantly going with these guys, whether we're talking about politics or gambling or morons of the world. I mean, these guys are my family. As far as experiences go, one of my better experiences probably 5-6 years ago, it was me, Armand, Billy, and Daryl, I think. We were in Atlantic City. We left the hotel. We left the seminar. We went to Caesars. We each shot. And one time we each shot. And I think the shortest roll was 40 minutes. It was just
Short.
like
Did you say the shortest roll?
the shortest roll of the five of us. There was five of
Man.
us, right? Yeah, I mean, we were literally, we got back to the hotel. Dom was like, "Where the fuck have you guys been?" I'm like, we stopped to play a little bit, and it was literally like, and I was kind of new with them at the time, so it had to have been like 6, 7 years ago, and I think I shot for like 41 minutes, and everyone else was longer than mine. So
Wow.
that was one of the more epic of the adventures with them. But they're great. They're a great group of guys. They're family. They look out for me. I look out for them. I would do anything for them. We have a couple of new instructors that are have recently joined that are just adding to the fun of the group. I do have to say one quick shout out, and this is for self help, if you want to call it that. I don't want to say his real name, but Mr. Momenter. He is going to be one of our newest instructors. He's a very good friend of mine. I was with him in Vegas a couple of weeks ago with my wife. He proposed to his fiance while we were there, his girlfriend, so they know fiancés. And I was told that if I told everybody that he had a good shot, then he would buy me a nice piece of Japanese A5 Wagyu next time we're at dinner together. So his shot is phenomenal, the best I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
So, Eric, I'm going to hold you up for that dinner.
All right.
But
So,
yeah,
Michael,
honestly, there's just so many guys. Richard Barton, great. Started out as a student. He's become a very good friend of mine. Great guy. Don Wood and I have become super, super, super close. Yeah, they're just they're great. Every one of them.
speaking of Richard Barton, he's going to get the last question of the night. But before we do that, I want to cover a couple of things. Coming up next, February 14th, Julian Romero from Vegas Confessions podcast. He's going to be on next week. He's supposed to be here today. Work got in the way. Michael, thank you again for filling in. So look forward to talking to Julian next week. On February 21st, the Ramblin' Gambler from Casino Combat. He's going to be on the show. March 7th, we've got Stephen Lambert coming back to talk about electronic craps, and Don Wood, the person we were just talking about. Tentative, we're looking about March 21st, and we're going to be talking about some topics, so hopefully we're going to have Don here to talk about some of his Golden Touch Craps adventures as well. Let's see here. A calendar of events. Here in February, we still have a few things going on. Howard Newman's doing one-on-one classes starting February 11th back in Fort Lauderdale. On February 13th, we have the Craps Cruise 5 coming for the Access Power Craps. And the 25th, we have Mardi Gras in Biloxi, also from Access Power Craps. March 26th, we've got Next Level Craps with Tony Leo and Ron Van Allen in Las Vegas. April 10th through April 17th. That's the NCL getaway to Bermuda that we were just talking about. In May 14th, you got the Advantage Dice Control Workshop with Tony Leo and his crew. And in June, we've got the Dice Con with Color Up coming up. So a lot of things happening in the craps community. Now, if anybody has anything that they would like to add to the calendar, this is just it's a social calendar. Let me know what it is. I'll be glad to put it up there and give it just a little bit of airtime. All right, so
Really
let's go
quickly,
back.
Stephen, you could say goodbye to those electronic tables. They're going to be out of the casinos momentarily.
Yeah,
They're
I think
getting
we're
rid of
already
them.
starting to hear some things about that. So we'll wait for Stephen to talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, I'm one of the fans. I kind of like those roll to win tables.
Yeah.
I would have to say that's the only table that I've ever had any heat on. I was standing at stick left one, and if you ever played on one of those roll to win tables, they're very small, and I was throwing across the center line. You can't avoid throwing across the center line from those positions. And I heard that they're actually shutting down stick left one and stick right one on those roll to win tables in many different casinos. But we'll talk a
Yeah.
little bit more about that here in the coming weeks. All right, Michael, the last comment or last question of the day comes from Richard Barton. And I've heard rumors about this past weekend that you actually hit the all tall small 3 times in a single day. And that's what he's asking. Can you say ATS? So can you validate, did that really happen?
It actually happened in 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
sorry,
yeah, it
two
was two
days.
days. Yeah, this past weekend, so I hurt my foot really badly about 6 weeks ago. I broke it. It was a very, very bad break. I needed surgery on it. It's still really hurting. So I'm finding that when I'm at the table, I'm just positioning myself so I'm a little bit more, up using upper body rather than my, putting weight on my feet. And because of it, I think I'm just kind of like over mentally thinking things. And I've been finding my shots lately have just been much softer and much smoother. And for whatever reason, yeah, I did really well this week. And in fact, Dom took a bunch of us out to lunch at the Pepper Mill. And I had a little scooter. I had to rent a scooter because my foot's been hurting so much. And on the way back, my battery died. So I'm like, oh shit. I ducked into the wind and just found a place to plug it in to charge it. And I'm not going to stand there doing nothing. So I walked up to a craps table, stick right one, and it was a $25 table. And the dice came to me, and I don't know what I did differently, but I shot for about an hour, hit the all tall small. They reset it when you hit it, which is really nice. So I hit the small leg again, and had a great roll at the win. And I think I played there once before in my life. They weren't particularly thrilled. But yeah, I hit the all tall small, all both legs 3 times this weekend, and I hit one side of it many times.
Well,
So it was a good
that's
weekend.
amazing. That is just flat out
And
amazing.
and then another really really funny story is so the first time I left the airport to go back to the hotel, I passed by that new place called Oyo,
Hmm.
OYO. It's the old I think
Hooters,
Hooters.
wasn't it? Yep.
And yeah, and I sign up for a card, and the girl says, "Swipe your card at this machine. It's a slot machine, and you could win free play." So I'm like, "Whatever." I have my suitcase with me. I have my luggage with me. I'm wheeling it around. I go over, um, wheel spins, and I get a $10 free play. So I turn to the nearest machine. Now I'm in Vegas for 8 days. If I put $50 into a slot machine, that's a lot. So I put the $10 coupon into the slot machine. I hit the button. I hit the jackpot for $1,800. Guy comes over, gives me a bottle of champagne. He said,
Oh,
"You're the first person to hit a jackpot today, so you get the bottle of champagne. I offer $10 free play."
that's awesome.
So I think sometimes, like, the gambling gods are on your side. They were with me this weekend.
Yeah.
So
Well, congratulations for another successful weekend. I know it was a
thank
rough
you.
trip getting home, and I know you're tired. So we're going to call this a wrap and in the show tonight. Michael, I do have a special request for you. There's a lot of comments out there that I just didn't get to. So if you have some time in the next day or two, if you would kind of browse through those comments and maybe answer a few more of the questions in the comments of the YouTube replay, I would appreciate that.
I'd love
like I
to.
said,
Yep.
a lot of great
Yeah.
comments out there, and I'm sorry I just couldn't get to all of them.
Yep. I'll make it a point to go answer everyone as long as there's no heckling going on in those comments.
Yeah, very
But
good.
yes, I will. But it's not going to happen tonight, guys, because I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I don't blame him. All right, with
So,
that, guys, let's go ahead and close this show. We'll see you guys here next week. I know I said I was going to every 2 weeks, but we're gonna squeeze one in, and we'll talk to Julian Romero from Vegas Confessions podcast next week. Thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you later.